So, I said that I would make you guys a video this weekend having to do with depression and some treatment kind of things that we can do for ourselves and how that coincides with helping others. My my research side of my life centers literally like around depression. So you're in the right place in that sense. A few things that I want to just say right off the bat. I really want to cover this well and do it in depth so we can continue just as a group to get feedback with each other and to work on this together. Meaning, there are some things that I'm going to cover more so than others. For instance, I've made videos in the past that kind of go over what depression is. So I'm not going to be focusing on that. I'm not going to be focusing on the definitions, the disorders. I'm more so going to be focusing on how I can help you, how you can help you, and how you can help others who suffer with these mental illnesses, whether it's anxiety or depression or just feeling sad, or you're in a transitional stage in your life and you're very confused about it. Like, all these things that go on in our head, they matter, and the stigma that surrounds mental illness matters, and the labels and all of that, we gotta go into, I'd rather go into those things than give you like textbook definitions that I will give you links to. So there's two parts to this. I'm going to give you resources, valid resources, for you to help understand what depression is more, and so you can understand what someone else might be going through. If you're watching this, you don't have to be watching it because you have depression or you have a mental illness or anything like that. This is to inform you, and this is also to help others. Okay? So, without further ado, I'm going to list kind of these goals that I have for this series. This first video is just going to be an introduction to one treatment, one type of thing that we can do. Next weekend, I will continue the series, and we will go from there. And if you have questions, be honest with me. You guys are so honest on the page, and I love it. I'm glad you're being open about these things and how you feel, because they're important. And the more we show that it's okay to talk about not being okay, the more we show that these things do not define who we are, but rather they're just a problem that we're having right now, that's important. And what you guys are showing is what you're struggling with. But it's not you. And that's the big point I want to get across. You are not the problem. The problem is the problem. Does that make sense? You are not defined by a label. You are not defined by a DSM definition. This is a struggle that you are having, or someone in your life is having. The reason you're watching this is because, you've noticed something about depression, or it's affecting you in some way, whether it's somebody else, a friend, a family member, or yourself. Mental illness has a huge problem with labeling things. You are not a thing. You are not a definition. You are not an illness. You are an individual, and you're important, and your life matters. You are not depression. That's a big point. So, the goals of this. I want to give you different ways to work through your thoughts and your feelings. I want to help you come into a mental, healthy state. And I want to show you how your health helps others' health. We're in this together, we're a family. We always help each other out. We're always there for each other. So it's important if we're going to help someone else, we can't pour into someone else if we're already empty. So we have to take care of ourselves too. And you're going to be able to take care of others a lot better and use your talents to the fullest if you yourself are being a good example and also being healthy, With this whole series, I want you to know that I am not a counselor. I'm not yet. And practicing therapy, that's like a huge no when you're not a therapist. So these are just, again, ideas and thoughts and things that I can teach you about. Teaching about it is not against the, unethical rules of being a psychologist. It's just stuff that I've learned and stuff that I've found helpful, from being in counseling myself, having depressive disorders myself, and becoming a counselor. So that's a whole road too. Like, how does this person who, has been a suicidal tendency, backstoried, depressive, basically should have been hospitalized a long time ago person, go from that to, I can't even imagine. It's crazy to think about how I got here, guys. Like, I'm happier than I've ever been. I don't, I have my moments of depression. Depression is anything that lasts, like, 2 weeks. 2 days to 2 weeks or longer, etc. It's an excessive sadness. I believe it's more than 2 days. So we all have our moments of that, but I am so much better than I was. And now I'm going to be a psychologist so I can help people with this. And I'm so close, you guys. I graduate next semester, and I start my grad courses and everything. But enough about that. Let's get into this. The reason I said all that is because I want you to know that I did all that without ever having medication. I'm a big supporter, and you can disagree. Everyone's on different sides. I'm a big supporter of solving things without medication. I won't go too in depth with the reasons, but there are more cures for depression that do not have to do with medicine, that even work better than antidepressants themselves, without the side effects and the withdrawals that happen when you are no longer on those antidepressants, and the struggle of paying for those, and the struggle of finding the right one, etc. We know the strains of medication. Do I think they're useful in the correct setting and time frame and diagnosis? Yes. But for mild depression that isn't a major depressive disorder, that isn't like a level 4 depression, I think we can solve this, guys, without medication. And this is why you watching this and learning about this is so important. So, the first thing I want to show you, or tell you about, I'm going to put a TED Talk in the comments, or I don't know if I'm going to post this to Facebook or YouTube. If I do it to YouTube, I'll put it in the description of a fantastic video that explains why we don't need medication for depression. The number one cure for depression is actually exercise, and it actually works better than medication itself. And the reasons for that are just astounding test results, and I really would want you to watch that. If you are really going to work on this, if you really want to feel better, or if you really want to help someone else, I want you to watch this video. It is worth your time to learn about the effects of this guy's research and what it's doing. Exercise can be a social thing. The endorphins that get released, the chemicals that get released, are the same, if not 104% more than if we took a medication. Just by a simple 20-minute walk a day. It doesn't even have to be a run. Just walking, just being outside. There are so many great effects of nature and socialization and walking. And I know somebody's going to say, but I don't want to be social. I don't want to go outside. And if that's the place you're in right now, let's start there. Let's start small. Let's get up out of bed and walk down the block, walk back. It's about taking small steps. We can't cure something overnight. That's not how it works. But exercise is number one. The second most important thing is your schedule. My goodness, your schedule. If you are staying up until about, 3 in the morning and you have to work in the morning, or if your brain is telling you that this is how I'm coping right now, either staying up or sleeping too much, like not sleeping at all or sleeping too much, is a symptom of depression. And the reason for that is sleep plays a huge role in our, depending on your age, like in your growth, in your development, in your mood. And sleep, like, guys, so I'm going to tell you my treatment plan and what happened. I went into counseling when I finally found out of, like, the 17 counselors that I had tried. And that's another thing. There's something called therapeutic alliance where you and this counselor have to match up. So trust me, don't give up if you don't find the right one right away. It will happen. You just gotta find who works for you and your needs. And I finally found this person, and here I am. It was fantastic. I still see her. But this sleeping thing, I told her right away, I'm like, I do not want medication. And she was like, you need it. And you're not going to get better if we don't reset your body. And I'm like, I need to know other ways to reset myself then. So we went to a nutritionalist, and she did all sorts of little body tests to tell me what I needed for my body to feel better. And for my brain to kind of reset itself. My sleeping schedule did not exist. I was so sleep deprived, guys, I could have died.